Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Today is Monday and Monday nights are Abhijit nights. And let us welcome Abhijit Iyer-Mitra I. Abhijit, Namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Vel, Vetri Vel.
And Vetrivel, Veeravel, welcome to you, Abhijit. And today we'll start with is an apology from Rahul Gandhi enough? This guy goes about like a nervous elephant. He shits about everywhere he goes. And then who's cleaning up after him? And what about India's image abroad? A lot of things to ponder about. And Mr. Something of Mylapore is going to weigh in now. Go ahead.
So, you see, I think an apology is all that the BJP wants from him because he's their biggest asset. Okay, wherever he goes, I have Congress leaders complaining to me that his trip to London wiped out any gains from the Bharat Jodo Yatra. Now, I don't think there were gains from the Bharat Jodo Yatra. They insist that there was. But what they agree is that his one London trip destroyed all the thousands of crores that they'd spent on the Bharat Jodo Yatra itself. Right? So this was number one. Number two, who's the biggest beneficiary of this? The BJP. Why would they kick? Because, in asking for foreign intervention, he essentially violated his oath of office, his parliamentary oath. So he should be kicked out of parliament technically, right? But if they do that, they will get him sympathy. They won't get votes.
Abhijit, you think that Janata is that dumb even today? That was 40 years ago.
Well, look, why risk it? Why risk it? I think that's the main question. The BJP would be asking, why risk it? This is much better milked by constantly shaming him about what he said, calling him anti-national or whatever, and going on demanding an apology from him. And when he refuses to apologize, people get even more irritated with him. Tell me, what is a better punishment? Kicking him out of parliament or reducing him to between 25 to 35 seats in the next election? I honestly believe in 2024, TMC will overtake Congress as the biggest opposition party. You look at their current tally, they have 9 seats from Tamil Nadu and 9 seats from Punjab. Okay. Tamil Nadu plus Pondicherry. Those 9 seats, because the unpopularity of the DMK is already setting in now. You can see that happening. We still don't know what effect Annamalai has. I personally suspect not much, but maybe he does. They're going to lose those 9 seats. They're also going to lose the 9 seats in Punjab for sure, because the party there has been completely wiped out. Okay. They're going to lose 4 or 5 individual seats. Rai Bareli is gone, because Rai Bareli is no longer winnable anymore. Apparently, Congress workers don't even have access to Rai Bareli anymore. It's been seen to it that their access is also cut off. There's no funds coming in for this thing to Rai Bareli. There is zero engagement with Rai Bareli. So you will have, there's 1 seat in Maharashtra, 1 seat in UP, Rai Bareli, 1 seat here and there which are going to be lost. So you lose up another, 18 seats plus another 4 or 5 seats here lost. In Kerala, the tally has to come down. So they have 19 seats in Kerala, it will come down. They have 18 seats in Kerala, come down to about 12, 13, so another 5 there. So 18 plus 5, I'm expecting it to come down by at least 20 to 25 seats. Now you remove 20 to 25 seats, you become a 25 to 35 seat party. You compare this with Mamta, who did a fantastic job in wiping out the BJP cadre after her assembly victory. I suspect her tally is going to go up. She has about 20 seats. It's going to go up to about 30 seats. I honestly think the TMC will replace the Congress as the prime opposition party and the leader of the opposition. And then that is when the real game starts. Because once you have a clear, survivor from the ruins of the old Congress, because remember, AAP is also, it's diverted a lot of Congress voters. It's ex-Congress voters who vote for AAP in a sense. Once they find a new flag, a new undisputed leader, I suspect it will be up and up for the TMC. And TMC, mind you, Mamta has a good modus vivendi with Modi. Forget what they say in public. They're two people who can work with each other. They do work with each other, right? So I suspect that's what's going to happen.
Well, we have a whole bunch of weapons that the BJP may have. Let's take a quick look at that one cartoon doing the rounds. Alochana, Pratyalochana, Ninda, Kadi Ninda, Kathor Ninda, and Bhatsna. I don't know what Bhatsna is. Any idea?
No idea.
Any rate, so these are all the different weapons that the BJP has in its armory, and you can expect them to fire one after the other, even if it is just to evoke some sort of a response from Abhijit. So, Abhijit, one question that I have for you. Congress, you said there is not enough funding across the country for the cadre. How did they fund the Bharat Jodo Yatra then?
So this was a huge issue that, basically for a personal promotion tour. Remember, the Congress doesn't have funds, but individual congressmen are stinking rich. But they need those funds for them to fight their elections and win their own personal battles. Essentially, all of them were forced to cough up a lot of money, do local arrangements and things like that. And a lot of them were super upset because, they were being asked to shell out all these funds just before 1 year before an election. So, they would have been saving up a lot of money for the 2024 election kitty. And it was kind of made provisional to them splurging money. Them even getting a ticket would be made provisional to them splurging money on this. I suspect, of course, the BJP helped out with funding because they were looking forward to the Bharat Jodo Yatra as well. But what has happened since then is this one trip of Rahul Gandhi to London has wiped out any gains. A lot of Congress people did see gains. I think that was wishful thinking. I don't think they were. But it's wiped out all the gains, illusory gains or otherwise, that they expected from this Bharat Jodo Yatra. And that is why, ever since his speeches in London, has anybody heard about him for the last 3 days since his speeches? He's gone completely AWOL. He's incognito. Why? Why is he hiding? Speech de diya, wapas aao na. Where is he for the last 3 days? He left Mallikarjun Kharge to defend his speech, and poor Mallikarjun Kharge didn't even make that speech.
But one thing that still lingers in my mind: these guys are supposed to be stinking rich. Then why are they starving their cadre? Without cadre, you cannot have any hope of coming back to election. And if you don't want to come back in elections, then why even bother having a cadre? Just say, "I quit the party and go."
Because it's their money. It's their money. It's their personal finances. They're not going to give it to the party. Cadre used to be given, money used to be distributed to give to the cadre. They wouldn't spend their own personal finances. The personal finances are reserved for your own interests. Some of them do help a lot of their cadre, but mostly there's not enough money for them to be helping out their own cadre.
Well, I mean, as a democracy, right, I'm concerned that a pan-India party is going into this self-destruct mode in just 10 years after it lost power. And I mean, that's not a way a party should be run. So are you saying, Abhijit, I'm just paraphrasing what you just said, that the money that used to come when they were in power is gone and lined up the pockets of individuals and not the party?
Yes, correct. The party has no more money. I know for a fact that even star campaigners, people designated star campaigners, had to buy their own tickets and pay their own board and lodge, but they were obligated to do so to come campaign. So most people avoided going and campaigning because it would involve out of pocket expenses for them. In the few cases where the party was willing to pay, they only offered economy class tickets on Indigo. They offered extra space on Indigo, which is about 1,000 rupees more or something, but not a business class or anything like that.
Very interesting how things have played out in this grand old party. And yet these people are loaded. They have a lot of money abroad. And none of the scams have been, seen to their logical end. What is the deal with Modi going slow on the citizenship saga? That's a black and white open and shut case. He himself signed those papers in the company's house, Vijay.
Well, I mean, why get rid of your best asset? See, I think it's a mistake. When Narasimha Rao had the ability to completely, mothball Sonia Gandhi, he didn't, and he paid a very heavy price for it, right? Because he who fights and runs away lives to fight another day. That was what I always got told. But look, I think Modi is in a place now where he feels that Rahul is more of an asset than a liability, because he clearly can't pull off what Sonia Gandhi pulled off. If he could, that would have been 2019. I think after 2019, they're very comfortable in their knowledge that this boy simply can't pull off anything. Right? So he is actually the miscalculation that both Vajpayee and Narasimha Rao did with Sonia Gandhi. I think Modi is taking that risk with Rahul, but he has seen to it that there are significant risk mitigation measures, namely Rahul's stupidity.
Now there's also clamor that Priyanka should be taking over the reins of the party. Do you see any change?
She's no better. She's no better.
Okay.
She's probably she's less obnoxious in public, but she's no better.
Okay, great. So we have touched upon this article and this whole scenario. Thank you so much, Abhijit, for, I think this was a very good, concise read of the situation over the last 10 years of the Congress party. Now let's go to questions, please. Angamuttu Tangamuttu, can Hindu philosophy be categorized under Neoplatonism or any other Western philosophy? From Aditya B.
No. See, there's a fundamental divergence. All of this Plato, Neoplatonism, all of it comes from the Western thing, where, in Western paganism, you had the underworld, Hades, which was this dark gray area where everybody went. Okay, it doesn't matter if your deeds were good or not. So Western philosophy emerged as when you don't have a concept of karma, of an afterlife reward. How do you inculcate good behavior in people while they are alive? Right? Whereas with Hinduism, you always had rebirth and karma. So they separate at a quintessential level right from the beginning. Okay, the paradigms are both of both are totally different.
Next question, please. Aditya B again. Why didn't Spain have a French-style revolution when even Spain was having a tumultuous time with their aristocracy?
So Spain was a lot of things. Spain wasn't engaging. Spain's wars by this time had ended. It had become a second-rate power. It didn't industrialize. Remember that, very important. France at this point was industrializing. We've talked about this before, how industrialization is one of the most socially disruptive processes. Spain didn't industrialize till Franco comes into the picture. Okay, so Franco was the one who industrialized Spain. So during that entire 1700s, 1800s period, the impulses, either excessive foreign spending that exacerbates hardship at home, or the sort of industrialization which displaces a lot of people and changes a lot of lifestyles at home, simply wasn't happening in Spain at this point.
Next question, please. GCKP wants to know, Abhijit, what do you think about astrology? Has any prediction by an astrology about you came true?
So I never used to take astrology seriously. Now I take it very seriously, boss. Because I'm blessed to know. Yeah. So I was blessed to know two astrologers who've been so scary accurate. And, they're not being generic. I grew up with astrologers who'd say, my mom would ask, will my son get good marks? And the reply would be, yes, if he studies well, he will get good marks. This I also know, But what happened was, this astrologer of my mom's, Bala Nair, he basically said, sometime in August, he said, come September, Abhijit will either have a road accident, very bad, nasty road accident, or he'll go to jail. And if he goes to jail, consider it a bonus, because the road accident wouldn't have been very nice. It would have destroyed his life. And sure enough, in September 2018, 1 month later, I went to jail. they tried to arrest me. I was under arrest for a while, and then I went to jail for 43 days. Now, you tell me that kind of accuracy, how would somebody know that somebody's going to go to jail? Right. So, and since then, I've met another astrologer who's absolutely fantastic at these things, who doesn't want to be talked about or anything. But yeah, so that's why I believe in astrology. And a lot of their predictions are very scary accurate. Like, for example, your cat will die. Very accurate. They said, we didn't know the cat was dead. She just hadn't come home for 4 or 5 hours. We hadn't even spoken about it. He knew we had a cat and he knew the cat had died. There was the dosham of killing a cobra in the garden. Now, we love snakes, both me and my mom, right? We always leave snakes alone to where they are. Uh, but he knew that something had happened where a snake had been killed in the garden. And finally, when we found out, our Gorkha was very scared to tell us because he knew he loved snakes, but he was scared for his kid. And so he'd gone and killed the snake, a cobra. How did he know which snake it was and it was killed? There are a lot of things that have happened like this, which are far too specific and timely. They're not generic crap. They're very, very specific things. And then this other guy, who's actually an investment banker, explained it to me on how these things kind of work, which is still gone over my head, but it sounded totally logical to me. It wasn't mumbo jumbo. It was really about, complexity theory and the butterfly effect and things like that.
GCKP again. Abhijit, was Shaiva and Vaishnava rivalry bloody? Was there any bloodshed?
Yes, there was. Very significant. Both in Cambodia, where Vaishnavite kings used to go smash Shaivite idols and Shaivite kings used to smash Vaishnavite idols, and also in Tamil Nadu, where you had a lot of persecution and killing of nothing at the level of, Christian or Protestant, Catholic, or Shia, Sunni, this thing, nothing at that level. But yes, it did get nasty at times. Yes, it did get deadly at times. The blood was spilled at times. Yes.
Kapil Goenka with the next question. Thank you, Kapil. What do you think about the Iran-Saudi relations now that China is mediating? How will this affect US and India? And will Trump be able to repair the damage? I think it's all together.
Yeah, look, Trump's not coming back. How will this affect the US and India? It really won't, because it's a very ephemeral argument. I've written a piece on it on First Post. I've tweeted it out. Go check it out.
Next question, please. Vamsi wants to know, do you think the government can leverage the deal between Tata and Boeing? Ask government to tell their companies to move certain manufacturing to India, provided, I think it's UK, that Indian provides good regulatory environment.
No, it's not going to happen. I'll tell you why. Governments ask for transfer of technology. Companies ask for steep discounts. So I believe that Tata is getting something like a 50% discount on every aircraft it's ordered, the list price, right? No. They would have maximized the discount and not the manufacturing, though some technology is being transferred to the Tatas, but nothing particularly significant. It's more the assembly of engines, not the actual manufacture of the crystal blades.
Next one, please. Maliban Bhattacharya, have seen a lot of Deshis making jokes about Russian women. No need to tell the content, you know it. Is it caused due to how Russians are shown in Hollywood, or it's the general perception?
It is the general perception, because I think a lot of, that collapse of the Soviet Union was extremely nasty. And a lot of women did. That entire Eastern Bloc, a lot of women then fell to prostitution and things like that. There was this. The Chinese are very open in talking about this, because there's this linguistic barrier and no English. So when I lived in China for a while for my PhD, it was really so scary how they used to talk about prostitutes, about how the lowest cost was Southern Chinese prostitutes, then Northern Chinese prostitutes, then Central Asian prostitutes, then white Eastern European prostitutes, and finally Western European prostitutes, and the topmost category was English country prostitutes. Unfortunately, it became a big market in China. It did become a big market in Europe as well. A lot of the people smuggling, which was particularly nasty, was done of these people. Remember, Russia has a huge surplus female population ever since World War II. Because so many men were killed, they've never really been able to rectify that balance very well. Mm. So there were a lot of things out there that happened like this.
Okay, Vamsi wants to know what will be the future of Russia-India relations? Is the government desperate to have some sort of leverage over Russia?
Yes. See, it's a single point relationship, which is weapons and arms. Even the weapons we're not terribly happy with. The issue is we need to maintain some kind of leverage over Russia, which is why we'll continue to buy Russian weapons. But other than that, nothing much really, because our biggest concern is that Russia and China should not come together. We play a policy of divide and rule, and we will do anything required to keep these two out of each other's arms. I think it's become more costly now and more expensive to do that now, but it is what it is. Remember, we've overtaken China in our purchases of Russian crude.
Next question, please. Jana Uma wants to know. Oh, thank you, Jana, for becoming a member. Next question, please. Maliban Bhattacharya. A lot of Rajputs are of the opinion that their ancestors came from Central Asia and intermingled with the IVC, Indus Valley culture. Any anthropological study to prove this? Add your favorite Chinese food.
No, there's no study to prove this. They're all, look, North Indians have a high ratio of pastoral steppe stock in them. Okay, whether you like it or not. Now, Rajputs itself are a very, very amorphous group. There are no stories about how they came into being and things like that, because remember, Parashurama killed off all the Kshatriyas. So we have this thing where it's a sort of agglutinative caste that builds up slowly, slowly through assimilation realistically.
Next question, please. And your favorite Chinese food?
My favorite Chinese food is actually Indian Chinese pork ribs.
All right. Abhishek wants to know, sir, why do Kashmiri Muslims have so less fertility rate? Is it because of better family planning or effect of conflicts?
No. I think you'll find there's a lot of stats that's going to come out. What you'll find is that there's almost a 20%, officially a 20% infertility rate amongst Muslims, which is probably as high as 40%, because most of them get very scared coming to hospitals. They think every injection and needle is a Government of India attempt to sterilize them through intravenous injection. There's another reason for it: high consanguinity. Right? The consanguinity rates are obscene. And what you're also seeing this in Pakistan. You look at the Pakistani infertility rates, they're through the roof. Because consanguinity is just, it is what it is. It's going to make you infertile over a period of time. And the other part which is fertile is reproducing at double rate kind of thing. Right?
Now,
But even there,
consanguinity. I've heard of this word. I kind of know what it is, but in normal parlance.
Consanguinity is what you call in Hindi either behan chod or mother chod. Marrying your close family member. Basically. That's what consanguinity is. Incest.
Okay.
So it's becoming very, very problematic out there. I would really urge you to look at the figures in Pakistan, which are much more public. It's becoming a big issue out there. It's also an issue, but it's not discussed that much in India. But that it is what it is.
So then, how is Pakistan growing so fast? You have two sides, you say?
Yeah. So the other side is reproducing like rabbits. But even there, the problem is there is constant consanguinity setting in, because what's happening is people are seeing other people not being able to reproduce. And they're saying, oh, we can't get this gene into our family. We need to marry within the family and this and that. They don't understand the causes of it, and consanguinity is multiplying at a geometric rate amongst the community.
Hmm. Next question from Ashish Sharma. You have repeatedly said that the education system of India is very bad. What can we do as teachers and parents to make our children good at problem solving?
Well, first of all, teach them that it's okay to fail. Uh, Second, ensure that they know why things are, not just how. There's two parts to learning, the how and the why. In school, we're taught how, we're never told why. Ensure they learn the why. That's the main thing you need to do.
Next question, please. Om Patel wants to know, why are you against the death penalty?
Because there's no statistical proof that it deters crime. Quite the contrary, in fact. Quite the contrary. And especially in a country like India, where you have the ability to corrode evidence and miscarriages of justice and things like that, it is particularly chronic. Where I do, but it is not a blanket opposition to the death penalty. I do support the death penalty when there is a high chance of a hostage taking situation to free somebody. So, for example, every day that Yasin Malik is allowed to stay in jail after conviction is a high probability of a hostage situation, which is why executions need to be carried out very, very rapidly. Okay. Uh, 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 After due process, of course, you can't just throw the appellate process to the winds. So it's entirely statistical. A low probability of accurate conviction plus the lack of any statistics to show deterrent effect. You don't just kill people because you feel like killing people. Okay, you kill people because it needs to have a knockdown effect. That's the main thing. What I do support, though, is the increasing of jail sentences. Paying 50 rupees for killing a dog is not enough. It needs to be 2 to 5 years in jail. 15 years or 14 years, as it is as a life sentence is counted, is simply not enough. Financial crimes in the United States are punished with life sentences. 75 years, 125 years, God knows how many years. Here we don't. And this 14-year rule is very corrosive. You need to expand it to 25, 30 years consecutive sentences and things like that, not concurrent sentences and things like that.
Next question, please. Om Patel again. Why didn't the British take over Goa from the Portuguese and Pondicherry from the French?
Well, they destroyed a lot of the empire around it, and by this time, they had reached their own peace agreements and things like that. So the need to take it back simply did not arise. They would have done so had Goa or France joined the Vichy government and things like that. In fact, Pondicherry's government was a Vichy French government, but they still didn't take it over because it was strategically irrelevant. What is Goa going to do against the British Empire?
I mean, if they had a diamond mine or something like that, that's a different matter.
Then different. But Goa had nothing. Pondicherry had nothing.
Next question, please. Abhishek wants to know, sir, what's your view on Andaman Nicobar transshipment hub? Will it be successful?
Look, I think it's a very badly thought out plan, right? And I'll tell you why it won't be successful. These days, any hub, any port to be successful needs an economic hinterland of at least 30 billion. Okay, because just the same way, once upon a time when you had to go from Delhi to London, the flights used to be from Delhi to Bombay or Delhi to Karachi, Karachi to Doha, Doha to Rome, Rome to London. Okay, and it used to take 10, 12 hours to get there. Now you have direct flights, not just to that, you have direct flights to San Francisco and New York. 12 hours direct, no stop. Pat, pat, pat. So what happens is that you're seeing the same with ships. Ships don't have to stop. They just go from big port to big port. The small port to small port trade is non-existent. Right? So when I wanted to get all my stuff shipped from Australia to India, they were like, they had to look for 2 weeks. I'm like, boss, you normally give shipment things in hours, if not minutes. You just look it up in the computer. They're like, look, we can't figure out a transfer schedule of a ship coming to Madras Can you beat it? Not to Madras. Finally, they found a ship that was going to go to Cochin. Thankfully, I found somebody that did excess baggage, air baggage at discount rates. So I had to send it, which is still a lot more expensive than shipping it.
Simple Life wants to know, in West you see many dog training courses. Are they good? Are there any in India? If not, can you start one?
No, I'm not going to start one. But remember, it's all positive reinforcement. You need to go for positive reinforcement things. There are some good ones, like generally how to teach things. The point is, remember, there's a first principle. I never did a dog training course, but my dogs are trained very, very well. You never hit your dog, period. Just like you never hit children. Unless you're somebody like Rahul Gandhi who's incorrigible. That's a different matter. You never cause pain. Thappad maroge, then it's just to shock. It is not to cause pain. Next, understand what you're doing. How are you incentivizing the dog? You can't, your dog runs away from you. Okay, you're going on saying, Goldie, 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 come back. Goldie comes back, and then you promptly thappad maro fai. Now he thinks I came back. I did what he asked me to do and he slapped me. You can't do that. Right? And what you do is, so for example, to see to it that your dog doesn't run away from you, you keep treats at hand. You work on it at home, see to it that they never cross a 20-30 meter, 20-30 foot circle around you, and it'll come naturally. They learn very quickly. They essentially have the IQ of a kid under about 3 years of age. They will learn quickly. Right, you put these for toilet training, you put these pads that you get, a dog absorbent toilet training pads, you stick it on the floor. They will start being only there. And remember, when you're kids, you don't tend to have the kind of bladder control that you develop as an adult dog. Slowly they get it, and it happens very, very quickly. It happens in about a month or so, and Bob's your uncle, done.
Next question, please. Shivam Sharma wants to know, hey, Abhijit and Sri, I live in Chennai for a year and Murugan Idli T Nagar was my favorite restaurant. Where can I get same quality in Delhi NCR?
You can't. Forget about it. You have to make it at home. I make very good, very, very soft idlis at home. The real secret there is amini kotte. There are lots of things about it. When I do start my YouTube channel, I'll do a full video on it. First, you need to buy urad dal from the khula urad dal jo milta hai, not packet urad dal, because you don't know how old that packet urad dal is. Okay, your urad dal is your yeast. You have to keep it cold and you have to grind it. You do not soak it for more than 2 hours, and you grind it. If you soak it for more than 2 hours, it starts fermenting. So the rising culture, it starts eating itself. You don't want that. So no more than 2 hours. You grind it with very little water. It needs to puff up like egg whites. Soft peaks and hard peaks, things like that, where it fluffs up to almost 3-4 times its volume, because that is the aerant, the aerator. Then the rice. People always say use idli rice. I never use idli rice. I use raw rice, because think about it. When it's steamed, parboiled rice is much harder. That horrible idli rice that you get, if you cook it, it's not terribly soft. You need to get a soft rice, which is what I use. Raw soft rice, not sela. The third, very important, the rice should be ground fine. Now, you can't do it in a grinder, in a normal idli grinder, unless you use castor beans. So it's called amanaku kotte. You remove the shell and you use castor beans, and it will give you extraordinarily fine. You won't normally, no matter how much you grind rice, you'll always feel the
Graininess.
graininess in your hand. When you use amanaku kotte, it will literally feel like not Fevicol glue. Remember that blue bottle glue that we used to get in school?
Right.
It will feel like that. And then you mix it and leave it to ferment. And the rice should not be soaked more than 4 hours. Rice no more than 4 hours, urad dal no more than 2 hours. That's the secret.
Simple Life wants to know, did we have a banking system like temple knights in ancient India? We had barter system and standardization of weights in Mauryan era.
Yes. We did have banking systems. In fact, our banking systems were some of the most advanced till the British came. We had famous banking families in India, complete with their own armies, in fact. Right, so we did have that, and the Templar Knight system wasn't an innovation. It existed throughout. The same Indian banking system went to the Middle East and got called the Hawala system. Aajkal to Hawala badnaam hai. But in those days, it was a very crucial system. You make the payment here, you're given a promissory note which you take somewhere else, and that bank will pay you out.
Shivam Sharma, hey AM Aim and Shri, do you think UPI is the best innovation out of India in the past 2 decades?
Yes, I think so. I think UPI is one of the India's greatest contributions to the world, not just in the last 2 decades, but more. I think since the zero, it's our biggest contribution to the world.
I agree with Abhijit. UPI is a big game changer because does away with some of these things like not getting the exact change for your work, your product.
And
Whenever
and
you
you know
pay,
the best thing, the best thing about it is these days when you're saying cash, so all the Ola and Uber drivers will call and say, "Sir, payment cash, 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 cash." Even without asking you, they give you their QR code because for them today, cash is phone pay or Google Pay or whatever. So UPI is today cash. What the demonetization did not achieve, UPI achieved. UPI contributed more to decashization than the government fiat demonetization did.
Mr. Lee wants to know, in the 1893 World Parliament of Religions, no speakers were invited from Sikhism. However, Brahmo Samaj Theosophical Society were invited. Why was this the case?
No idea, sorry.
Sambhav Jain wants to know, why did India figure out transport airplanes before moving to jets? Would have at least set up some infrastructure and support systems, or are they too super complex like fighters?
Which transport planes have we made so far? We haven't made transport planes.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've only done what Tejas is the first big one that
But
came
no,
about.
that's a fighter. Tejas is none of this.
Hmm.
But we haven't made transport planes. Jets, I think he means commercial jets, or do you mean military jets? Because even military jets, the Ajit was the first, no, the Ajit and the Kiran and all of those. In those days, military jets would have been easier to make. Today, the complexity of military jets is infinitely greater than that of a transport plane. But even then, we did not make transport planes. We assembled the AN-32 in India. That's it.
Rohit Pathania mentioned that Jammu shares a lot culturally with Himachal Pradesh. Is merging Jammu with HP a good idea, especially since J&K moved the Rohingya settlements near Jammu?
No, no, no. I don't think they share a lot in common. I think I've always felt their cultures are very, very different. So I don't think the answer lies in making bigger states. It actually lies in making smaller states. You need about, like the Gautam Desirajulu says, very good book. Please read it. I believe it lies in making smaller states. We need about 75 states.
Mr. Lee again, geothermal tech uses underground heat to generate power and for indoor heating. If this is scalable, do you think Canada, Russia, the EU will eventually support 1 billion population each?
I don't know. I don't know. I've only been in one geothermal building so far, and that was in Norway. Uh, as I understand it, the chemicals inside are extremely corrosive, just like batteries. Inside the geothermal things that go into the ground, they're extremely corrosive. The problem is one of disposing of the corrosive liquid, just like it is for batteries, right? Which is why I think India's bet on hydrogen is much better.
Kanda Batata wants to know, what do you think happened to the MH370 plane?
I don't know. I think the Danavas came and gobbled it into the earth. It's in Patala Loka.
Same person, Kanda again. A central yoke system versus side stick in an airplane, which is better?
Central yoke any day. I any day prefer central yoke control, because the central yoke, you can use both hands to control it. Side stick, if you notice in the Airbus, the guy on the left has one on the left, the guy on the right has one on the right. You might not be equally felicitous with both arms. You might not be ambidextrous, and there is a lot of precision control and things required. I any day prefer central yoke.
Nishek Sharma wants to know, when cooking channel is going live, we want your food wisdom. Cooking.
The
When
cooking
is it
channel
going
goes
live?
live. It goes live the moment I move into my new house, which is going to take a year and a half. I don't know. Delhi constructors. But it's a lovely kitchen, and I will start the cooking within a month of me moving in.
And
Yes.
you've got camera stands all placed out in the kitchen, so you can just put the cameras like three angles you need, two side and one front. You talk to the
Yes,
front,
I'll take
sides will be
I'll
giving
take
you.
your help. I'll take your help in that, because I need help with lighting and things like that.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Because
absolutely.
the kitchen is being done as one big 20-foot long island, 20-foot long and about 5 feet wide, with the sink on one side, and two individual gas burner hobs and a big single
Hmm.
surface induction hob in between. Because I like switching from induction to gas to induction to gas. There are certain things where induction is better, speed notably, pressure cooking, boiling water. And there are certain things where you need very precise control, like biryani making, or
Right, right, right.
frying and things like that, where
Correct, correct,
uh,
correct.
uh,
Slow
uh,
cook
uh,
versus fast cook and all that.
the
Yeah.
flame is better. So just going to be a much better setup, and I can do it there.
All right, looking forward to that. Next one from Mohit. Bhatsana is superlative degree of Kadininda. Okay, okay, got it. Thank you so much, Mohit. Next question from Guts, the Black Swordsman. Is there any scientific proof of halal meat being better than Jatka meat, or is it propaganda?
It's total propaganda. There's no better or worse or whatever.
Jason Paul wants to know, what's your view on the cultural impact of the intellectual dark web, Joe Rogan, Peterson, Shapiro, etc., in shaping political views?
I don't call it the intellectual dark web. I just call it democratization of the discourse. It's that simple. Before, people would curate what you would be allowed to watch. Today, you're not. It's that simple. And I think it's for the better, because it allows people to choose what they want to see.
Magnet Ranga wants to know, should the Congress have avoided the Bharat Jodo Yatra and instead use that money better?
Yeah, but what would they have used the money for? They desperately needed something, no? Because they knew they were going to go down. So this was one big, very expensive PR stunt, which hardly got any media coverage except on a few days.
And one wonders if the Jodo Yatra and the UK trip were conceived by the same individual or by different people. Your thoughts?
Bharat Jodo Yatra and
The subsequent trip to United Kingdom and the
no, I
context of
think
speech.
those were two different things. This was one reselling mechanism.
Hmm.
पुराने मैगी नूडल्स को नया कोई कोरियन लेबल डाल के रीपैकेज करो, वही सड़ा हुआ माल. That was the attempt of Bharat Jodo Yatra. The intent of the London trip was the same, but notice every time Pitroda touches Rahul, Pitroda plus Rahul is a surefire disaster. Remember what Pitroda did in the last election in 2014? He said, "Hua to hua,"
Hmm.
about the 1984 riots. And you remember how many votes that cost him. This time, Rahul has shown he's the true intellectual heir of Pitroda, because what Pitroda did to him the last time, he's gone and done to himself this time.
Next one. We are okay. Jason Paul again. What's the best English translation of Valmiki Ramayana in your view?
I don't know. I don't know. I've only read the Bharat Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan version of this thing. And I think with Mahabharata, it's C. Rajgopalachari.
Jason Paul, who do you think the INC PM candidate for 24 in light of the recent PR situation?
It's going to be Rahul Gandhi, boss. Why are you in any confusion? It's just him.
Revanth Reddy wants to know any updates of the economic reforms sponsored by Gautam
Yeah,
Chikermane that were opposed to pass in this session.
I'm very surprised it wasn't passed or even introduced. Let's see what happens.
Next one, please. Revanth Reddy again. Does economy really matter for the American national elections given how Biden won despite bad economics? Are people more indoctrinated than even the falling economy has?
One, don't
Okay.
read a whole question all at
All
once,
right.
one at
Go
a
ahead.
time.
Go ahead.
Biden, Trump lost because the economy tanked. Biden did not win in spite of bad economics. Okay. Will Biden go down because of bad economics? Yes. No president of America has ever won with a bad economy. Ever. Ever. So it for an American national in India, it doesn't matter. In America, it absolutely matters. Second part is, are more people indoctrinated than even than the failing economy isn't waking them up? Yes, that's what the left does. The worse it gets, the more radical you get. Look at Venezuela. In spite of constantly tanking the economy, Hugo Chavez and then Nicolas Maduro keep winning with bigger margins and bigger margins and bigger margins. Now the margins come down because they've had enough, but they went on winning. You see, it's like a drug addict. You know you're getting addicted, but you still have to keep going back to your drug dealer for more because now you're totally dependent on him.
Levi Ackerman. Thank you, Levi. Abhijit, the Tomar Priyo Macher recipe ki.
My best mache recipe is my grandmother's doi mach, which is still a very prized recipe. It has no onion, no garlic, no ginger, nothing. Just plain mustard oil and ghee, cinnamon. So you heat mustard oil. You have to hang the curds. You have to hang the curds to remove any this thing. Then you beat it up with a pinch of corn flour, a bit of sugar, uh, red chili powder and turmeric powder. Uh, Faintofy it, and you heat up the ghee and mustard oil combination. Good ghee, huh? Not crappy ghee. There's a very good brand that comes out of Bengal called 𝙒𝙗𝙤. Try getting that ghee. You'll never have regular ghee again. You put in just cinnamon, nothing else, just cinnamon. We don't use cinnamon in India. We use cassia sticks. So you put cassia in there. When the cassia is fragrant, you add the feta hua dahi to it, mix it around, it amalgamates, add the fish to it, mix it, cover, cook for just 4 5 minutes on low, off, don't open it, leave it for 15 minutes like that. It's cooked right through. I think it's the most delicious fish ever. Salt, of course, salt to taste.
Chintan Ojha wants to know 5 Hindu kingdoms according to Abhijit which fought the Muslims maximum.
Well, the Rajputs for one, the Assamese, the Odia kingdoms, uh, Vijayanagar, and Shivaji in increasing order of importance.
Naman Kandpai wants to know Kandpal. Hi, thank you, Naman. Hi, Abhijit. There has been a lot of talk about Consular Judith Ravin actions in Chennai. Is there any truth? Now, okay, go ahead and answer that question.
I don't know what this lady has been up to. What has she been up
Yeah.
to?
Usually these will be like rejecting a lot of visas or something like that. Maybe, I don't know. Now,
Okay.
Eric Garceeti is ambassador and hearing his views. Is government doing anything? Any implications for India? Nah.
Look, I'll tell you what. Uh, Generally, when you've got these celebrity ambassadors who do not have a security background, the relationship has not done well. like that lady who was in charge when uh, the Devyani Khobragade case blew up. On the other hand, when you have had security focused people like Richard Celeste or Richard Verma or Atul Kashyap, who was acting ambassador till very recently, or Bob Blackwell, it did fantastically well. My issue is Garcetti is not a security guy, he's a socialite. Number one. Number two, he speaks Hindi. Not that that makes a difference. But number three, right now the embassy is in the hand of lunatics. Because remember, Pentagon tends to be Republican, state tends to be Democrat. This entire gender thing, human rights nonsense, it is all pervasive in the State Department. You have to be a believer in order to score good points and things like that. It's a horrible system at the moment. And this disease has reached the level of political counselor, first secretary, and things like that, which are extremely senior positions in government. Right? So, what is happening is they are running absolutely amok without an ambassador to keep them in line. So, no matter how bad Eric Garcetti is, I would much rather have him as ambassador right now than not have an ambassador at all.
Next question, please. Akhil Muthanando wants to know, in your opinion, what will be the competitiveness of Indian military startups in the coming 10 years?
No. No, because they're not going to get any help. Indians will be competitive. They will be headhunted by US and other foreign weapons companies, and they will go abroad to do it, but they will not be successful in India. No.
What all military startups are going to be profitable, which requires minimal capital?
Nothing. Forget about it.
Next question, please.
My advice to all of you is, if you're getting into defense, whatever, just don't do it. Start up a restaurant instead, start up a bookstore instead. Don't go in for defense manufacturing in this country. It's not worth your time. The levels of corruption and brown nosing that you have to do to get contracts is just obscene. Just avoid it.
Chalak Bholu wants to know, can Congress 2.0 start Hindutva 2.0 after 2024 loss?
They won't. They won't. They had to start it. But they will not do it as long as this boy is in charge. And let's face it, the boy isn't going anywhere. They will not. They will double down on their ideology.
Next question, please. We are going through and rifling through all the requests to see what the next question is. While we do that, there we go. Nimit Gupta wants to know. Thank you, Nimit. Hi, Sri. Is any of your 40 patents in commercial use? Just about every reader, flashcard reader, all those things, if you have a laptop or a desktop or anything where you can read more than one card. Right now, everything is standardized on secure digital SD cards. But it used to be that we were multiple cards, and we were the first ones to vision that and make it very uniformly accessible. Of course, the Taiwanese and then the Chinese copied it without paying us any royalties. That ends the story there. We did go into encryption. We did one of the most secure storage products that is, again, not underused today, regrettably, because people didn't really understand or appreciate the usefulness of that. Because if they had, your computer could not have been hacked today. Like the Pegasus would not have been possible. I mean, I had that chip this close and it ran out of funding. I mean, to me, it was 15 years ago. We were way ahead of time and we couldn't get the product out of the market. It would have been worth billions, by the way. Mixed bag. Some yes, many no. Naman Kandapal wants to know, Abhijit, your view on government bulldozing the accused, be it rape, murder without trial.
See, the thing is, I don't think they are bulldozing the convict. They are bulldozing the accused. And usually it's used against people who are picked up for anything because they know that these guys are gunda and have to be gone after. Now, does it bring me a lot of mental satisfaction to see immediate justice? Yes. But I always worry because it has an extremely corrosive influence. Tomorrow, What prevents a Congress government from doing it to you? Okay, always think of these things. So I'm very, very uneasy about it. Because remember, when Israel does it to suicide bombers, there's very hard intel. I mean, the guy is dead. You can see because everybody is digitally ID'd out there. They know exactly who's the bomber is. You can tell who the suicide bomber is because he's the only one whose head survives intact. Because when the explosion happens, it's a clean sever of the head. Even before it kills other people, your head is already a few feet up in the air. It's been so they know who to go after. Okay, here it's just for whatever reason they're going and bulldozing, and usually it's not even after conviction, it's just the accusation alone, which is very problematic. If you do this to terrorists who have killed, sure, you can't just bulldoze anything and everything, boss, unless it's illegal. If it's illegal, go ahead and do it at any given point of time.
Next question, please. Ustad Tweetuddin Khan Chanchan. Do you think the appointment of the ex-LA mayor as US ambassador to India jeopardized BJP
we've, we've,
NDA's chances?
we've discussed this, but no, it won't. If anything, if he starts interfering, it'll actually help.
Yeah. Thank you, Ustad. Next question, please. Nishek Sharma wants to know, I made dosa batter as Abhijit asked to make. Got tasty dosa. Thank you. Next question.
Now,
Please.
just dosa batter, if you remember what I told you about the idli batter instructions. So the general ratio I use is 4 rice is to 1 urad. After you've made the idli batter, what you do is you add 4 more of rice flour to that batter and adjust the salt accordingly. I put salt in pre-fermentation, not post-fermentation. I put salt in after it's when I'm grinding the rice itself, I grind the salt along with that. Now remember, you grind extra salt with the rice, and after it's ground, you add rice flour to it. So effectively, it becomes 8 rice is to 1 urad dal for that proper Karnataka style thick, crunchy bene dose. Plus, normally what I do is I'll add about half, not one, half of aval. Aval ko kya kehte hain? Poha. Poha that's been soaked for about half an hour max,
Yes.
even
That's
10
a
15
vital
minutes.
ingredient. That's a vital ingredient. Don't forget.
That's very important. And just before you make the dosa, you dissolve sugar into it. That's what produces the even browning, caramelization.
Thank you so much, Abhijit. That brings us to a close of today's episode. And just like you to stay back for a second. Don't log off after I go off here. I need to talk to you about something. As always, a pleasure having you, sir. And please, viewers, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Also, if you're not following me on Twitter, I request you to follow me on Twitter. Abhijit is also back on Twitter. Good reason if you're not on Twitter platform yet to now come into Twitter. Iyer-Wall is his handle. Mine is Sri Iyer1. Do follow us because I have some breaking stuff that's coming up and I want to have everybody on Spaces. You get more interaction. So you can ask more questions in your own voice. You can, rebut whatever with Abhijit whenever he comes on the Spaces. So you'll have a one-on-one. Go ahead.
Sorry, 1 second. There was some very terrible advice given in the comments. Just add methi for soft idli. Please do not add methi. Not to your dosa, not to your idli. It does nothing for the idli. No methi.
I think the thing is that poha thing makes up for that softness. Methi is usually done to give that
I know,
softness.
but
Or
methi,
so they
it
think.
doesn't
Yeah.
work. They think, but it doesn't work.
In fact, what happens in methi is it is thicker than the batter. So as the
Yeah,
batter
it
reduces,
stinks.
it's full
Yeah.
of methi at the end, tastes weird, and also it sticks on the pan. It becomes a mess to make the dosa also. I think he is right. I've been through this. I've experienced this. Oh, you are absolutely spot on this one. Okay, thank you
Yes.
so much, Abhijit. And again, just stay back for a second, please. Thank you.
Yeah.